Well, today, the Republican Jewish coalition held a forum for the GOP candidates, with the exclusion of Ron Paul, who was not invited due to what the group called his extreme and misguided views. It was a place where we saw a lot of Obama bashing, mostly based on his foreign policy, but of course, things like Obamacare happened to make it in. And we heard critique on everything from his policies towards Iran to his public announcement of killing Osama bin Laden, and yes, that actually happened, to first and foremost, what Republicans see as his negative relationship with Israel. Now, if anything, we saw the candidates trying to outdo each other on just how much they love the U.S. ally. So let's go through some of what was said and particularly stood out. And let's ask once again if even this forum is going to help Republicans secure the Jewish vote, which Obama won hands down in 2008. Here to discuss with me is Heather Sirmo, Republican strategist and managing owner of 440 Group Public Relations. Heather, thanks so much for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, well, let's start with that last point that I just made, right? If you think about it, the Jewish vote makes up about 2% of the population. Obama overwhelmingly got it. They normally vote Democratic. So what is this about? Do you think that the candidates can actually sway that vote, or is it really just about the big donations that happen to come in with saying, rah, rah, Israel is the closest ally we have?
Well, I think that you're also securing the conservative Christian vote. And historically, they support Israel not only for political reasons, but also because they believe that Israel is a very protected country. It's been ordained by God to be protected. So no one really wants to touch that. And, you know, if they get some Jewish votes in the long run, that's great too. But I don't think that that's their focus. Their focus is we want to make sure that this is the conservative position. It is what we're supposed to be upholding, and Israel's a valuable ally, and we'll make sure that we are very clear about our support for
But so, you know, just tell me, because obviously this is, I guess you could say, Iran is always an area where they decide to hit President Obama, and Israel, especially #1, has been one of the favorite punching bags for the GOP thus far. But what is it exactly about Obama's foreign policy towards Israel? I mean, he's upped, the amount of aid that we give to Israel. When it came to the UN vote, there was the threat to veto. I don't understand what else he needs to do exactly.
Well, I think it's because he's been really trying to keep both sides happy, and you really can't do that. I mean, Israel and Palestine, I mean, it's just a very touchy place, and we really wanted to see Obama be more pro-Israel, in that he wasn't so unclear about whether he supported them wholeheartedly or if it was more just to show that he's, you know, supportive of both places. You can't be. You really can't be. Now, you still have to be for peace, of course, but the Republicans would argue that he just made too many concessions.
So you have to be you have to be yet another president in the long line that have wanted to solve or, you know, bring peace to the Middle East, but you have to very clearly take a position here if you're going to be the U.S. president.
The reality is they are diametrically opposed, right? So there's only so much you can do, and Israel is our friend. Israel is our friend. They have never been you know, a bad friend to us. They've never been an enemy to us. So, you know, we want to reciprocate. And,
definitely not an enemy, but I think that some people would say that Netanyahu hasn't exactly been the most respectful person when it comes to President Obama and the relationship that the two have had there either.
Well, yeah, but that once again goes back to Obama, you know, and not America. You know, America as a whole supports Israel, and that's why Obama's been at fault, because he hasn't been leading us down that road that has been carved out for a long time. So
he's been leading them down that road, but like you said, it's just never ever going to be.
It hasn't been convincing, I guess.
Why do you think? But I want to get your opinion on this fact that Ron Paul wasn't invited because he's just not mainstream enough with what the GOP thinks. He's a little too extreme for them. I mean,
well, let's face it, what would Ron Paul say?
But is it so bad to have another opinion out there? Is it so bad to have somebody try to change the conversation? I think they thought it was kind of a waste of time. And I don't think Ron Paul is really upset that he didn't get to come, because he would have said we shouldn't really be doing anything with Israel, or anybody else for that matter. I mean, he's very protectionist, he's very isolationist, and so there really wouldn't be much for him to say, you know? So I don't think he's upset. I want to get into some of the candidates that did actually get invited, and who, if you ask me, say some absolutely crazy and extreme things. And so I'm going to start with Rick Santorum. This is kind of a double whammy. We'll discuss the two things after.
We need to say very clearly that we will be conducting covert activity to do everything we can to stop their nuclear program. And that means using covert activity like may have occurred at the missile site just recently in Iran, right? I would like to think the United States was involved in that. I would like to think that we had something to do with that missile site. But given the President's record with Osama bin Laden and not being able to keep a secret of anything good that he did for even more than 24 hours, I suspect we'd already know if we had something to do with that explosion.
I mean, I just find that to be so ridiculous on so many levels, and I'm wondering if you're with me. First, he's critiquing the president for admitting that he got Osama bin Laden, which I can't imagine any American leader that wouldn't do that. And then he's saying that these covert actions that were that obviously are going on in Iran shouldn't be covert. We should clearly state them.
Yeah, that does seem to be pretty inconsistent. And I think that's the challenge right now for all the presidential candidates in the Republican field is to be consistent. And with so many debates...
just coherent? That doesn't make any sense.
Yes, I'm making a broader conclusion here. But yeah, I think that, you need to be consistent. And with our two frontrunners right now, Gingrich and Romney, they're both flip-floppers, And ideally, we would have a candidate who is, says one thing today and also says the same thing tomorrow and said the same thing 5 years ago. We don't really have that candidate right now. And, with 24-hour news and also with all these debates going on, it's easy to make mistakes.
Well, it seems to me like they're really grasping at straws, too, because, if anything, Obama's foreign policy is one area where I've been incredibly critical of the president, where I feel like he's been really hawkish,
areas,
too. And so, yeah, out of many areas. And so that's where I feel like he, if anything, should be right in line with the GOP candidates. So now they're trying to find a way to criticize him there, which is that he publicized Osama bin Laden's killing. Let's also listen to something that Newt Gingrich said, that if elected, this is who he would want to be his Secretary of State.
If he will accept it, I will ask John Bolton to be Secretary of State. But I will only appoint him if he will agree that his first job is the complete and thorough transformation of the State Department and the replacement of the current Foreign Service culture with a new entrepreneurial and aggressive culture dedicated to the proposition that defending freedom and defending America is the first business of the State Department, not appeasing our opponents.
All right, so two quick questions for you. Are you as scared as I am about a world where John Bolton is the Secretary of State? This is the guy that says we have 8 days to bomb Iran. I mean, he's the biggest warmonger out there. And have you seen Hillary Clinton playing an appeasing role as the Secretary of State thus far?
I think Secretary of State Clinton has done a pretty good job. I'm actually surprised by how she's done. I didn't think she was going to do a very good job. But I don't think that Bolton is a scary choice. He was an ambassador to the UN. He wasn't scary as an ambassador to the UN. And I think that, he has some great ideas for reforming. That's what we need. We need a Republican candidate and Republican people surrounding him who make wise decisions and have ideas. We don't want the status quo.
You don't want the status quo, but if the ideas are to bomb away, then that doesn't make me feel comfortable.
You're saying that.
No, but those are words that have come out of his mouth many times when he said we have 8 days to bomb Iran, or Israel has 8 days to bomb Iran. I mean, it's this constant stress. I have to wrap it up, unfortunately, because we've got to hit our break. But Heather, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.